One of the videos I've been wanting to make for a while is a look at some of the rock star biographies over the years. After reading through many and doing research, I wanted to point out 10 shocking confessions in some of these books because, wow. Some of these entries include happiness and overcoming struggles, some of the expected debauchery and shenanigans, and some are confessions that are terrible. I mean, I think less of some of these musicians now. It's that bad. Spoilers and trigger warnings galore for obvious reasons. Abuse, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, SA. Literally all that is mixed in. But again, some of these stories are looking back and acknowledging their wrongdoing. Except the last two entries. Those are terrible. This is also not a top 10. It's just a list. It's not ranking these autobiographies or their authors' shocking confessions. You know how these videos work. Let's get to me trying to describe some of this and remain on YouTube.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
One of the most well-spoken autobiographies that does a great job in going through the details of struggling with his own identity is Confess from Judas Priest Roth Halford. From childhood to present day, Halford covered so much of his life. His life as a gay man in a metal band where he was afraid to come out, as a child understanding his sexuality and being afraid to come out. Being in the closet was a big part of Halford's identity for years. Halford described how he did so in detail by going anonymously through truck stops in the US. That's right, Rob Halford, metal legend, hit up many a trucker's paradises through the 80s. From Confess, from to anything was a go. A common place for these dates were roadside truck stops where the tap method was utilized in the men's stalls. An amazing story is that while on tour with Judas Priest, he participated in said anonymous truck stop bathroom event. Wow, that's a description. Anyway, he recognized the man's hand after the bathroom stall event was over, and the man was wearing a Judas Priest shirt. He was a fan. Halford nodded at him on the way out. Yep, all that happened. The Prince of Darkness has never shied away from describing his run-ins with the law. From the Alamo shenanigans to running around hotels naked to years of drugs, it's all well documented. What many don't know that Ozzy's criminal career started early in childhood. Lil Ozzy was quite the delinquent growing up, and Ozzy's dad still saw something special in the Prince. From I Am Ozzy, my father always said I would go to do something big one day. I've got a feeling about you, John Osbourne, he'd tell me after he'd had a few beers. You're either going to do something very special or you're going to go to prison. And he was right, my old man. I was in prison before my 18th birthday. Ozzy followed up about his endless attempted thievery as a child. I was a crap burglar. I kept going back and doing the same job over and over. I was just a kid trying to be accepted. Ozzy does not make himself a victim in the book and owns up to everything, which includes way too many things to list off. However, we will be talking about Ozzy's insane drug-fueled behavior later in the video, so sit tight.
The ace of spades, the ace of spades.
I know that Ozzy is the most well-known drug-fueled rock star in Legends, but I'm pretty sure that fellow Englishman Lemmy could take him on. White Line Fever has a long-running list of everything Lemmy did to the point of absurdity. What I'm about to read is just one of many passages that Lemmy casually described with his drug use. Everybody was taking pills, too. Uppers like blues, black beauties, and dexedrine. And Dick Mick, I'm probably mispronouncing that. And I had been up for about 3 days, whacking down dexedrine. Then we got a bit paranoid and took some downers. Mandrax, but we thought it wasn't very interesting, so we took some acid. Then we took some mescaline. This goes on. The paragraph, pages of it. Lemmy is one of the few people who lived on a breakfast of narcotics every morning. It was so bad that people around them at the time called the person who does all that a motorhead. Like, is that a tribute or a terrible association? Or both? Mr. Saul Hudson, better known the world over as Slash, survived the 80s and 90s and 2000s. That sounds obvious as he's still alive and well as of making this video, but when you understand how much he put through his body, his well-being is a miracle. I mean, I could just say Guns N' Roses and you'd probably be able to piece it together, but here's something a bit more specific. As listed in the Slash autobiography, Slash said that he was such a severe alcoholic that he drank around 4 liters of vodka every day, not counting in the beer and whiskey he did did at night. Slash also admitted to overdosing and flatlining at least 3 times in his life and being told he had 6 weeks left to live. That 6 weeks maximum for doctors was given with a diagnosis of cardiomyopathy for his heart failing. The fact that Slash is still alive and performing with Guns N' Roses, as well as having released so many solo albums, seems impossible considering he was doing competitive drinking with himself.
Come here, baby.
Aerosmith have shared the stage, road, and lots of illegal substances. I mean, a lot. So much so that they even had to make sure their supply was readily available during live performances, not just one-offs either. Steven Tyler's autobiography, Does the Noise in My Head Bother You? He called out his own wild behavior for women, drugs, and women and drugs together, and etc. But he also called out band members' drug use, including guitarist Joe Perry's on-stage behavior. Tyler said about the Aerosmith guitarist, Joe had vials of Coke with straws in them at the back of the stage, and when the lights would go out, he'd go over there like he was checking something or making a guitar change, and a roadie would put the straw in his nose. He'd take a hit, then the lights would come on again. I know the guitar techs and stagehands have to adapt to take control of small tasks at a moment's notice, but I think that straw inserter is an entirely different role that requires a massive pay raise. At the time of writing and recording this video, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones is still alive. That has been a joke since I was a little kid. Somehow, Richards, through all his admissions of drugs and debauchery, has proven death's adversary. It'd be one thing if he just survived all the abuse he put into his body, but it's the other ridiculous actions he admitted to in his 2010 autobiography, Life, including snorting the ashes of his own father. I wish I was making that up, and it does sound made up, but it's Keith Richards, and he said it himself. Yeah, I believe it. Richards gave the explanation, my dad wouldn't have cared. He didn't give a I snorted my father. He was cremated, and I couldn't resist grinding him up with a little bit of How? How did that not kill him? How is he still alive after doing stuff like this? Then again, this is the guitarist who said, poison's not bad, it's a matter of how much. The man is not human. Or at least I hope not, because snorting your own father makes you some type of cannibal. I can't label it. That makes sense though, right?
Looking at you through the glass.
I feel that people are not aware of just how engaging of an author and writer Corey Taylor is. Through his several books, he takes on certain topics, relates them to his life, and is able to make points about the afterlife, awful people, the political landscape, etc. And in those books, he is open about his past and the successes and mistakes that have happened. And in one long statement, Corey summates some of his past missteps in a glorious way. From You're Making Me Hate You, over the years I've done some dumb I've disappeared into the heart of Amsterdam only to wake up in my hotel room, not really sure of how I got there. To my count, I've asked 17 different women how far along in their pregnancy they were, only to find out they were fat. I've smoked pepper. I've smoked PCP. I've waited in line for hours to see The Phantom Menace. And it goes on and on. I'm being honest when I say this. It's awesome to see what sobriety has done for Corey Taylor over the years and how much he has accomplished while sober and angry at stupid people. That's what that book is about. Good for him for understanding his past. Also, good for him for surviving those 17 different pregnant women. That is terrifying. Almost as terrifying as waiting 4 hours to see The Phantom Menace. Barf! Corey, if you ever see this, please don't find out where I live and beat me up. It was a dumb joke, and I felt compelled. You would have made fun of me too for that. Just about anyone familiar with rock in the 80s is aware of how much party insanity Van Halen was living in, especially the charismatic frontman David Lee Roth. If he wasn't thrusting on stage, he was having women thrust at him. So as only one of many examples of David Lee Roth's frequent experiences with the ladies, here's one story about just one night. From Crazy from the Heat. I was there with these two girls once. They were strippers. They said, Dave, we'd like you to go upstairs, the two of us, with you. So I said, okay. It was Angus, and it was hot and sweaty and humid, and we commenced to deliver the groceries at 138 beats per minute or more. One of the girls had $1,500 in singles and 5s and 10s. Her end of the week tips and pay and everything in her G-string. Nobody noticed the money, like floating around. I woke up at some point around dawn. The two of them were asleep, and all three of us were covered with money. Every square inch of skin had a dollar bill plastered to it. There was nothing but. The whole bed was covered with bills. Our bodies were covered with bills. There were bills in my underwear. Take a little picture of that. Many more kids in the 80s wanted to grow up to be rock stars, not because of the music, but because this was the advertised lifestyle. Was it happening to everyone in rock back then? No, but David Lee Roth made up the difference to make it seem that way.
Dream of Californication.
Anthony Kiedis had a tumultuous uprising, which he admits to, both with terrible family relationships, drugs, and the worst of humanity that never should be put on a child. The shocking confession in Scar Tissue is he kept that awful cycle going. It's become more common knowledge now in the past years that Kiedis had a thing for younger teenagers when he was a rock star in his 20s. The most shocking was being in a relationship with a 14-year-old girl. No easy way to go into this one. The next quote is censored a bit for YouTube, from Kiedis upon his revelation of finding out she was 14. After we got off stage, she came up to me and said, "I have something to tell you. My father's the chief of police and the entire state of Louisiana is looking for me because I've gone missing. Oh, and besides that, I'm only 14. I wasn't incredibly scared because in my somewhat deluded mind, I knew that if she told the chief of police she was in love with me, he wasn't going to have me taken out to a field and shot. But I did want to get her the hell back home right away. So we did the deed one more time." There are other examples in the book like this, like when Kiedis was 20 and had a 16-year-old girlfriend who both reportedly posed nude together. No, I will not show that image. Don't look that up either. Barf. And as of this past year, Kiedis was seen at age 61 with a 19-year-old date. He has a type. So, do you think the state of California is probably regretting all those state references in his music? I want you to detach from the dramatization a few years ago about The Dirt from 2019. The Dirt, the book, is written by Mötley Crüe and admitting and confessing to every single gross thing you could ever imagine from a glam rock bag in the dirty, filthy 80s. While I'm convinced that some of the stories in The Dirt were embellished to make the Mötley Crüe members sound wild and out of control, there are other stories that absolutely happened with witnesses, mugshots, and lots of awful proof. Here is a short list of things we know happened. Number 1, the many domestic abuse scandals leading to jail time for several members, namely Tommy Lee's big abuse scandal. That was huge. Number 2, endless drug and alcohol abuse situations, including Vince Neil's drunk driving leading to years in prison for vehicular manslaughter, and Nikki Sixx being so high that his heart stopped. He was brought to a hospital, and once awake, he fled to find more drugs. And number 3, the gross out contest at a hotel between Nikki Sixx and Ozzy Osbourne. Both men were under the influence of, everything, and decided to have a gross out contest between each other. The recreation of this in the 2019's The Dirt does not come close to how gross it got. I cannot describe everything on YouTube, but, at least urine is sterile. You know what? Don't read The Dirt. It's inhumane and horrifying. Okay, some of these autobiographies I definitely do recommend. Rob Halford's Confess really is great with a lot of positivity and eventual peace for the metal legend. And all of Corey Taylor's books are fun reads and he always gives good insight and makes points. Definitely recommend those. I do not recommend The Dirt or Scar Tissue. I also know that there are way more than 10 of these, so if you have a recommendation of what rockstar autobiographies had big reveals and confessions, let everyone know in the comments. You can find more of my content on this channel and the new Heavies YouTube channel. Heavies will be featuring the Heavies Weekly Breakdown, bringing you news in the world of heavy music every week. Subscribe to that channel in the video description link. Now, I badly need a cold shower because I feel dirty giving my voice to all those quotes. Goodbye, political career. Finally, here's a dog.
Here's our good boy, Ivan the dog, barking his brains out at the construction across the street that has been endless for months. Normally he can handle it, but sometimes it gets too loud and he has to give him a piece of his mind. He's still a good boy though. Please hit the like button for Ivan.